I've gone through every emotion today, thinking about the past 25 years of my life, and hopefully sharing this stuff with you is worth it. I want you to see the struggle that I've gone through and the lessons that I've learned along the way. That's the purpose of today. First, it was 2000. I had already performed as a kid. I started doing magic shows professionally, but in 2000, I was working a job doing maintenance in a city park, and I felt directionless. I felt scattered, and I felt like I didn't really have an identity. For me, that's worse than something going wrong. Feeling ungrounded is the worst. So I made a decision, went to New Orleans to be a street performer, April 1st, 2000. That's why I'm making this video, because it was 25 years ago that I became full-time in show business. And I hit the streets, started performing. I'd gather a crowd and then do a show, and then they'd pay me cash. I was on the mean streets of New Orleans, holding a whole bunch of cash, carrying it, walking blocks and blocks to the youth hostel, and never got robbed. Nobody messed with me. I was raised around every class and race of people, and I was encountering people, like befriending crackheads and meeting stockbrokers. What I realized was that people are good, and I am good. I found an identity, and I felt like I had something to give. Then in 2001, I started doing a pancake flipping show. I started bringing unusual juggling into my show and doing more creative things. I got hired on the Brooks and Dunn tour, so I was performing in amphitheaters and arenas around the country, and just like 10,000, 15,000 people. And what I learned then was that the audience invents us. If I listen to the audience, they tell me who I am. Instead of me trying to bring my authenticity and my identity to the stage, the audience teaches me, and they teach me what they want from me. I learned they liked it when I smiled. Some performers frown and shout, and the audience always liked it better when I smiled and when I had mirth. 2002, I was doing street performing and stand up. I learned about writing jokes and that it's a job. If we treat it like a blue collar thing, consistently keep on writing jokes and trying them out, then that's the best way to make jokes great. All the stand-ups I've worked with since then have had a very blue collar mentality. The great ones just want to get down to work and don't treat it as magical jokes. They just do it. In 2003, I worked at SeaWorld, and I was in trouble a lot. I was performing really well. The audience really liked me, and the company was very careful about me, watching me constantly, giving me notes, sending me home early. And I was close to getting fired several times. I realized that being a good performer is only part of the job. It's a small part of the job for big corporations. And I learned that I wasn't just going to be able to be a jerk in show business. I learned that from Brooks and Dunn. The people that were the best and the most successful were really nice and really good to work with, and they had an overall holistic approach to their career and their life. In 2004, I produced a cooking show called Culinary Tuesdays, and then it later turned into Crash Course, another cooking show on stage. I was trying to get people to buy tickets, so I would tell them about the show. I realized that if I told them it was cooking, juggling, and getting hurt, it just struck something. It worked. And that was my first engagement with marketing and the idea of how marketing can work, as far as telling the truth goes deeper than just the words that you use, because the show wasn't always, you wouldn't always get to see good cooking or good juggling or good getting hurt. Um, but when I told people what that was, they came for that feeling, that theme that I was selling. And they were never disappointed by missing out on me cooking something well. I moved to, so I did these cooking shows and I got to this place. I had a theme song with my name in it. I was on a billboard. I would taxi across town after the cooking show and I'd headline this burlesque show, and I was getting paid, and I felt like I was just like topping it out in San Francisco. So I moved to LA and I thought that it would be really tough. And my lesson in LA was Hollywood is easy. I was performing in shows with celebrities. I entered a one-man show competition and placed second. It was audience vote and I had no friends in town. So everybody else's friends were voting for me. If you approach Hollywood in a certain way, it's easy if you know what you want. And most people don't know what they want. They think they just want to be famous or something. That was my lesson for 2006. Because of my success in LA, my sudden success, I felt like there was nowhere up to go, and I got bummed out. I'd always seen myself as an underdog and fighting to make things work, and then all of a sudden I didn't have to fight. I could just do shows. I could just make people laugh, and I got really depressed. I took up some work in a marketing company, making websites and graphic design and doing marketing strategy. I learned that I could work to be the best in entertainment. I probably wouldn't be the best in marketing as far as being a general marketer to the world. I just realized that I couldn't be the best at everything, and I wanted to focus. In 2007, I was invited to the Christchurch World Busker Festival, and it changed everything for me. I was surrounded by great performers that raised the bar even more, that made me realize that I was not at the top. It was arrogant to think that I was as high as I could go. And this showed me that there was way more possible. And it showed me that maybe it's my time. Instead of trying to fight to be as good as other people, maybe I could be the one that people are trying to fight to be as good as. Maybe I could raise the bar for myself and for others by continuing to excel, work hard, and keep improving who I am. In 2008, I gave up. I was vegan. I was a virgin. I was not drinking. I stopped doing that stuff. I stopped trying to control myself so much. And by losing control, I made my life better. I made my shows better. I made things easier. There's a awesome race car driver quote that says, if you feel like you're in control, you're not going fast enough. And I see that in the most successful people that I talk to. The best performers are like, they just go. They just make things happen. And they don't feel ready for anything that they're doing because everything they're doing is way bigger than they've ever done before. In 2009, I worked on this website community in Ohio for rock bands. I made a website that managed this community, showed performances, and organized what venues were happening and what their schedules were. I saw so many performers, tons of people in entertainment that need support, that don't know how to run their business and stuff like that. And I just see all these different people, and behind the scenes, they look glorious on stage, and then behind the scenes you see that everybody has different struggles. That was a big lesson to me. In 2010, I made a show called LA is Paradise, and it was a very collaborative show. I worked with Remy Holwick, and there were a bunch of artists, amazing, legendary artists involved, and a bunch of people on the production side of my show that were just a team of willing, excited people. By joining forces with all these people, it gave me a lot of power. I'd been so solo for so long and thought that I could control everything and be in charge and that my vision was more important and it would be diluted if anybody else was involved. LA's Paradise showed me that it's not really about my vision. It's about delivering something amazing and making something big that shines a light on humanity. In 2011, I did the show off show with Evan Young. I put together, it was the two of us, and we were doing college shows and creating videos. My lesson there was YouTube is easy. If you're dedicated 100% to YouTube, it's easy. We got millions of views on our YouTube videos. It was very popular. It worked great. And I was spending a lot of time every week making videos. And we also shot for a whole month. We shot videos, and then that was pretty much all we did. Then I came home and edited them and spent a ton of time on it. And YouTube was easy, except it took every hour, every minute of my life. Then in 2012, I produced SlapCon, which was a slapstick convention, and I had all these people that joined with me in making this thing happen. I let go of trying to be cool and I just let people join in. It taught me a lot about myself, about how to love and how everything comes together. My life is very abundant when I experience stuff with others and I let people participate. Meanwhile, I'm doing awesome shows and performing all over the place, and stuff is good. Having these like heart-wrenching moments where like I cried in front of everybody at SlapCon on the first day. Yeah, it rocked me. In 2013, I was performing on stage. This guy comes up, gives me his card, and I talked to him a few times, and then he drives me to Kevin Costner's house. And Kevin Costner is a famous actor and producer. And so we drive to his house. I'd like loved him as a kid. I loved Robin Hood and Field of Dreams, and I started working on a TV show with him. Then I did my first college show, and we were in negotiation of contract. I took a nap before the first college show, and I woke up and he was angry with me. Kevin Costner was angry with me, and I just felt this was like a TV show built around me, produced by Kevin Costner, based on one performance that I did for a family's. And he's angry with me, and he feels like I've disrespected him by trying to negotiate this contract. And so I was sick. I couldn't eat. I don't remember feeling that low before that, and I was just destroyed. I felt like I'd really messed up and that I cursed my life. And what I learned from that is that that nobody's going to save me, that no agent, manager, no tool or celebrity or big producer is going to save me. Nobody's going to come and rescue me and give me some thing that my career needs. That I can keep on trucking and enjoy life. And now if that kind of situation happened now, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. That wasn't meant to be. And yeah. In 2014, I met with my wife, and we did a bunch of stuff. We went to Life is Beautiful, this festival in Las Vegas, where I shared the bill with Kanye West, and when he was popular. And something that I learned was like beat myself up so much just trying to muscle through getting things done. And I thought that productivity was about just whipping myself in the right way, in the right direction. And through teaching juggling classes, all my experiences, life is beautiful. I learned that it's more about flow. It's about like having fun and appreciating things and letting loose and not and being pulled forward by awesome stuff instead of being pushed by myself. 2015, I started Booby Trap, which was it's a show that ran for over 4 years, and it was the #1 show in Los Angeles on TripAdvisor. It might still be because they didn't take down the ratings. And I learned it started in a warehouse that was empty, and we just started doing shows. I just started inviting people and texting people and bringing performers in, and we started on Wednesdays, and it was running. We did it, and then I told people it would happen again the next week, and then I told people it would happen again the next week, and the warehouse was supposed to be torn down. It didn't get torn down for a year. So the lesson that I learned there was that it's better for me to start with something low stakes and have a pressure to continue instead of trying to figure out what the perfect show would be, because it became my dream show. It just started out as not meaning much, but I had the pressure of like, I told people that it would happen, so I had to keep showing up, and it kept on getting better. And just by being involved and sticking with it, it got better. And in 2016, Justin Willman hosted the show. He's the badass magician, performer, host. And I had to go and curate a party for Vox. And so I went and did that. And then when I got to come back at the end of the show, and Justin Willman was hosting it for me, and I saw him killing it, and I saw the whole show working, even though it was built around me. And I just felt like this amazing realization that I could do more if I wasn't involved in everything. It kind of seems like a recurring theme that I need to let go and let other people do things. And so it just, that changed me, that I could be like producing one show while I'm doing something else at some other place. And it was a really like, oh, I can do more in the world. I can make a bigger impact on the world because I don't have to be everywhere doing everything hands on. And then the next year, 2017, I got married and I had to pay for my wedding. So I was kind of eager to work. I'm very eager to work. And there's this show called Teatro Martini, and I talked to them. They liked me, and they didn't have a place for me. And I called them a few days later and said, hey, I am totally happy to come and just pop into any show when anybody cancels at any time. You just let me know and I'll be there. And then an hour later they called and said, yeah, come do the show. And they had morning shows and they had night shows. They were a little different, called different things. I just like jumped in and said, I'll do any show, all of them. And I learned from that eagerness and willingness and showing up with a smile was a super valuable thing that they couldn't get from most other performers. I also learned that because I had a person that was doing sound for Booby Trap, and he would kind of complain about little things every time. And I thought, oh, he doesn't want to be here. And so that was a big lesson in 2016, in 2017. And then in 2018, I got to go to Australia with my wife and perform a show called Deluxe, which was built around myself and some other performers. And I learned from that glitter doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. It's just always. 2019, the Booby Trap started selling out because we changed something. we started looking at one past customer that we liked. And this changed everything in my concept of marketing because it streamlined everything. I started talking to that one person and trying to serve that one person. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't thinking like what's fun for everybody or what's good for whatever. I just started, or like, and I wasn't worried about somebody that was disappointed because I was just trying to serve that one great customer. And this is how we started selling out because we got more great customers that wanted to be part of it. Then in 2020, my son was born, COVID lockdown happened, booby traps stopped, and I got an amazing opportunity to do a staff party on Zoom. And it was not just performing, but I found out what the client wanted, and I understood that I realized that they wanted something, they needed something bigger than just a performer. So I helped to orchestrate the whole event and produce the whole event for them, and brought in all the knowledge that I had from Zoom, from all my friends being around and stuff like that. And I learned from that I could really connect with my clients and really learn what they needed and then serve them in a big way. This was before it was try to be a badass performer, show up, do a good job, get claps, and go, get out of there. And the relationship that I had with the clients was way better than that. It was way more fun and way higher paying because I started to really connect with clients instead of just getting out of the way. I could have just given them a price for this event. I could have maybe gotten the job. Instead, I connected with them and had a real conversation and learned how to do stuff. In 2021, I got a call from a school to do a fundraiser, found out what they wanted to do, and I helped them to make this fundraiser that got $100,000. This is like, after a long career, this was the first time I realized that I actually like was worth money. I mean, I knew that I could get paid for things. I knew that I could talk my way into getting paid more for different stuff. And this time I was very crucial in helping them make the most profit from any of their fundraisers they've ever had. I created a whole bunch of stuff for it. And I saw, they paid me a very small portion of what they made. And I am worth money. And I started to understand that. This was 2021. At 2022, I had a really low point. I found I found myself saying to myself that my family would be better off without me. Like, I thought that if I was gone, that my wife and kid could go with the grandparents and they'd be supported and they'd be better off. And I realized that was really messed up and I needed to do something about it. And so I talked to a bunch of people and got back on track, and I realized that my value was not in my career because so much of what I do, like I'm working all the time, and it's a big part of my life. It's who my friends are. It's how I see myself. My career, I felt, was part of me. And if I wasn't super excelling at my career and at making as much income as I wanted, then I was worthless. And I think that's just like a belief that I had all my life. And so this was a moment, a big turning point for me when I realized that I that my value is disconnected from my value as a human being is disconnected from my career and my achievements or chores or whatever, and that I could make my career a game layer on top of my life, that I could enjoy making money and enjoy my career and enjoy affecting people, and it has nothing to do with who I am. This was, I'm sure it wasn't the first time I've learned that lesson, but it was a crucial time because it kept me away from just total annihilation. Hard to believe that I was so broken, that I was so shredded at that point. Mm. In 2023, I made my first attempt at growing my marketing company and trying to make it scalable. And I was trying to make it passive income. And I realized that the lesson that I learned there was that there's no passive income. That doesn't exist. There's there's jobs where you work a whole bunch at the beginning and then you don't have to work as much later to keep on making the money. There's just no like thing where you just turn on a tap and get money. It's just like doesn't exist. And that was very helpful to me. In 2024, I I realized that I was I was trying to sell a program to performers, and I was trying to show them like my experience and my wisdom and my skills and stuff like that. But I wasn't showing them my whole self, and they felt like it was a lot of strangers and different people felt like it was cheap, and it was I was trying to be sleazy, or I was sleazy or something. I didn't show my heart. I didn't show who I am, and people wanted all of me. That's what my favorite, the people that have booked me and hired me and been friends with me, they like the whole me. And when I was working with a bunch of performers in 2024, I realized that when they show up as their whole selves, they get more out of life. They get the gigs that they want. And I like my whole self. So being whole is important. 2025, I am here, and April 1st will be my 25-year anniversary of being full time. And the thing that I'm seeing in life now is that I can pick what's important. And now more than ever, I'm able to pick what's important, and I can do stuff that's fun. Every moment of my life is an opportunity for me to choose what's fun for me. Is it fun? It might be fun for me sometimes to cook a meal for my son, and sometimes, usually, it's not. So I don't do it. I'll like do something easier, still fulfilling for me to he still eats. He eats well. Just I can choose every single fun thing and every important thing. And right now what's fun for me is having novel experiences with inspiring people. So I spend time with my favorite people, and that's who I work for. That's who I work with. And that's who I hire. And that's who my family is. And so I get to do stuff that's fun, and I can keep on focusing on that. And that's been really cool because I've been growing super fast because of it. The takeaway, when I started thinking about being a full-time performer, Frank Olivier was really helpful to me. He told me to go on the street. I would get to do a lot of shows in the most difficult situation. So I'd get really strong as a performer. And he also said that he doesn't know anybody that wanted to be an entertainer who wasn't able to do it. Who, and so those two things really strengthened me. Just thinking like if I was dedicated to it, that I would succeed was super helpful. If you're in a situation where you're doubting whether it's possible, it is. It's possible. And I'm living in LA. I have a dream wife and a perfect child and a dog that's brown. And I get to make a huge impact on the by helping other people and making entertainment better in the world. So I hope that you enjoy what you're doing. Please reach out to me if you want anything from me. I'm glad to expand on any of this stuff that I've talked about and do whatever it is that helps you if you're a cool person. I don't mean cool, but I mean you're doing good stuff for the world. I got your